Well, it's that time, as evidenced by my empty shelf here. Oh. Actually, only a little space if it's empty. I guess we only have room for a monthly TBR then. Hi, my name is Sarah Freshly, and welcome back to Freshly Read Books. So for the last year, I've done a seasonal TBR, where I set the books that I want to read for a full season's worth of time. So we would still be in winter, and pretty soon I would be setting my spring TBR. But I'm kind of getting the craving to do monthly TBRs again. I don't know if they'll last. I kind of just go with whatever I'm feeling whenever I'm feeling it. And I think that actually my seasonal TBRs really help me because I reframed my thinking around them, whereas I used to pick a select number of books and I was like, I have to read these by the end of the month. If I don't read them, I've failed. And even if I read the same number of books that I set for my TBR, I still felt bad. That guy agrees. When I started doing the seasonal TBRs, because it was such a long span of time and I had no idea what was gonna happen within that time frame, I would set 20 books that I wanted to read in that season, or that I was thinking about reading, but then I only really wanted to read 15 of them, which gave me a little bit of wiggle room for adding books in that I didn't expect that I was gonna read, or that came up from different reading challenges or TBR spin or whatever. So I've decided to take that idea and push it into the monthly TBRs and see if I enjoy that a little bit more, being a little bit more relaxed with myself. So my new strategy is that for the month, I'm going to select 8 books that I want to read or that I'm thinking of reading, but my real goal is to read 5 of them. I think that makes sense for me. I typically read about 8 books total a month, 7 to 8, I would say, but I like the idea of saying I only need to read 5 of them. If I read 5, I've succeeded the TBR, and if I read all 8, I mean great, but also I can pick something different if the mood strikes me. So let's get into it. So we're gonna start with my TBR spin book because this morning I did my TBR spin for March. If you don't know, quick spiel, TBR spin is a reading challenge. It lasts for a whole year. You pick 12 books at the beginning of the year that make up your TBR spin stack. We spin the wheel during a live stream, and that leads us to a prompt that leads us to one of the books that's on your stack, and then you read it for that month. So during the live stream, we spin the wheel, we pick the book, and then we actually do reading sprints right then. I personally read the book that I've picked. It just helps me actually start the book so that I am reading the TBR spin books that I'm choosing. They are high up on the priority as I enter into the month because I've already started them during the reading sprints. So far, it's working great for me, and we're actually adding in reading sprints, at least for March, in the middle of the month. Also, you don't have to be participating in TBR spin to come and join us for the reading sprints. And also you can use the wheel. You don't even have to have a stack really. For example, the prompt we got today was to read a book that was a cover by. So even if you didn't have a stack and you're not really doing TBR spin for the whole year, if you just want to come and get a prompt you can use to pick one of the books on your TBR for the month, you can do that. And then just go to your shelf and say, okay, which one of these did I buy because the cover's really cool. So for me, funnily enough, even though I'm the one that put the prompt on the wheel, I didn't have anything on my stack that was really a cover by, but I think the closest thing that I had was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I also briefly talked about doing The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, just because I do really like that cover. But I do think that it was the cover of this book that initially attracted me to it. And then I asked for it for Christmas of 2020, I think, and I got it. Yay. So of course I read this during the reading sprints, and I'm already 130 pages in, which is really good. I ended up doing 4 reading sprints today, which is more than I think I've ever done on these. So it was a successful day. So technically this is the first book on my March TBR, but with the knowledge that I have already started it. So The City We Became, this is actually a part of a series, which I didn't know it was gonna be a series, but actually now that I've started it, I am really excited that it's a series because I'm already really loving it. This takes place in our world, but larger cities have actual souls and are represented by actual people. And then New York, which is where this mostly takes place, I'm assuming, at least where everything's taking place so far. But the 5 boroughs are each represented by a person. So each of the 5 boroughs have their own soul. So we have Manhattan, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx. And they each have very distinct personalities. Have I met all? Actually, yeah, I think I've met all, almost. I've almost met all of them at this point. Because it feels so much like a part of our world, it's got great atmosphere to it. And also you follow a lot Manhattan, who goes by Manny, and he can see sometimes current New York, but also a version of New York that's different. Not sure like where exactly it's coming from, but like it's not like a past version of New York, it doesn't seem, but I'm sure we'll find out more like later into the story. But I really like what that adds to it. Like whenever he sees that, I don't know, there's something that really gets added to like the current atmosphere, just getting that other visual of it. And then there is something that they are like fighting against that is like opposing them or like trying to do something to the city, but really like nothing is explained. It's just happening. So it's a fully like show, don't tell type of book, which is great. I'm so curious to find out more of what's happening, but currently I'm just loving being in it. The like last 2 reading sprints, when the little timer went off, it like actually startled me because I was like fully in it, immersed, which is just, it's a great place to be in. So this is officially the first book on my March TBR. Next up, I feel like I've talked about this book a lot, and it was on my winter seasonal TBR, which I mean, technically winter's not over. So like, this isn't bad, right? But it is the second book in the, what is it? A Darker Shade of Magic, I think is the name of the series. No, A Darker Shade of Magic is the first book. Shades of Magic series. I always get that confused. This is the second book in the Shades of Magic series, A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I really loved A Darker Shade of Magic, and I've really been wanting to read this one. I think I even, like the second after I read the other one, I read like 4 pages of this one. I haven't even marked it as like currently reading or anything. I was just so excited to get into the next one, but I knew that I had other books I was supposed to be reading first, so I didn't, I put it down, but like, I'm too excited and I really want to read this one. So this is like from a trilogy, and the first book is about like, there's 4 Londons, there's 4 parallel Londons that exist. Like there's more than the London, but you're only ever in London. And in each universe, in each parallel universe, it is called London. So the first book we're following a lot of, what is it, Kel, I think, who is an Antari, which means that he can travel between universes, between these parallel universes. He kind of remembers them to himself using colors for each of them. So there's Red London, that's where he comes from. There's Gray London, which is like most similar to our London. Then there's White London, which is really creepy and weird. And they are super drawn to anybody with any bit of magic. Our London has barely any magic, as you could probably have assumed. Red London has a lot of magic. And then there's Black London, which is like cut off from, like you can't go there. Something happened there. White London is like closest to it in whatever way parallel universes can be far or close to each other. And so that's why White London has like become what it has, because they had like a hard time fighting off what took down Black London. But anyways, that's like the setup. But then Kel can like move between these, except for Black London, of course, he doesn't go there. And then he ends up finding Delilah in Gray London, and she's like a pickpocket that just makes her living the best way she can. But I really liked her as a character, and they end up kind of like teaming up. Delilah mostly as a way to get out of her current situation, and Kel mostly just like begrudgingly allowing her to come along. It's really good. I really had a lot of fun with it. Again, atmosphere was great, which was a major reason why I liked it so much. So I'm excited to get to the second book. Next, we have a book that I bought 4 days ago, I'm pretty sure. So I'm very excited about it. Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. I read Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone this past summer, and I really enjoyed it. This is the first book in this series. Oh my gosh, I love the way these look together too. Oh my gosh, they even have the same thumbprints. Why do I already feel like a detective? Each of them has 2 thumbprints and blood on it, and they're the exact same thumbprints, just in case you were wondering. But I really liked Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I thought it was a lot of fun, great mystery, great setting. And I'm obsessed with mysteries that are set on trains. And really the reason why I picked this book up was because I saw the cover. It wasn't this cover of this book, it was a different one. And I was like, ooh, that looks like a train mystery. But then I was like, oh, it's the second in a series, so I need to read the first one. So I've been wanting to read this one since before I wanted to read this one. Next, we have A Little Devil in America by Hanif Abdurraqib. This I happened to decide to read this month because of the live stream earlier today. I had picked 7 of my 8 books, but I wanted to wait to pick the the last one until I saw what genre I was going to be reading from like the TBR spin books, just so that I made sure I wasn't like outweighing any other genre. And then while we were there, Michael was reading A Little Devil in America during the streams and talking about like reading it in general, and everybody was talking about how incredible it was. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm too excited to read this one. This needs to go on the TBR for this month. This is all about Black performance and Black performers in the US and like the impact it's had on the United States in general. These essays are reflections on how Black performance is inextricably woven into the fabric of American culture. He explains the poignancy of performances big and small, each one feeling intensely familiar and vital, both timeless and desperately urgent. A Little Devil in America exalts the Black performance that unfolds in specific moments in time and space, from mid-century Paris to the moon, and back down again to a cramped living room in Columbus, Ohio. And next we have actually another nonfiction, which is The Uninhabitable Earth by David Wallace Wells. This is also one of my 25 books to read in 2025, so I figured I should probably get going on those. But this is a lot about the climate crisis, and I've owned it for quite a while at this point, so I definitely want to read it sooner rather than later, because obviously things continue to change. The way that we react to the crisis changes, our approach to working on that or our approach to not working on that changes all the time. So I would really love to read this like now. Next up is a book that was also technically on my winter TBR. It is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And also technically I started this one, I got to page 82, although I think a lot of that was an introduction. I think I'll probably restart it at this point because that was from like several months ago and I barely remember. So obviously this is a classic that I just haven't read yet. This is the romance between Catherine and Heathcliff. I feel like I've heard the name Heathcliff a bunch. It's just like one of those literary figures that is referred to frequently. So I'm excited to finally find out where that comes from. I've just realized that I do actually technically have 9 books that are going to be on this list because I forgot there's 2. I thought there was just one of them that I didn't own physically, but there's 2 of them. I guess I just have more to pull from this month. I'm not going to change it. Next up, we have Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This will probably be the first one that I tackle from this. Well, no, The City We Became will be the first one because I've already started it. But then this one will be next because this is a part of the Fits Along that Win from Literary Diversions is doing. They actually postponed this book's live stream and like when all the books after that will come, which is great. Great news because I was falling behind again. I started it behind and then I caught up and then I got behind again, and I've never made it to a live show for a book that I've actually read, but like this time might be the time. And if not this book, then the next one. But that's why I want this book to be early because I don't think they've scheduled the actual stream for it yet, but I want to be ready when it does get scheduled. I want to at least be like halfway so that, you know, even if it gets scheduled like for the next day, I could probably do, well, okay, let's not be crazy. Anyways, Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the 3rd book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which is the 2nd trilogy in the Realm of the Elderling universe. This trilogy specifically, the Live Ship Traders, is about like these families that own these boats called live ships that are like quite literally alive. They're made out of this like special wood and then they like quicken, which happens after 3 generations of a family have like owned it and died on the deck of the ship. So it seems very difficult to wake one of these ships up. But there's a certain number of families that own live ships and they're like the actual traders. So traders, not traitors. I've been watching a lot of The Traders recently, so every time I say it, I'm hearing that instead. I really loved the first 2 books. In this, I've been loving Robin Hobb in general. Right away from the first book in this trilogy, I was so hooked. I was so hooked on the characters. I think I like books that are set at sea. Like I think I like adventures that are on like ships, which I didn't know that about myself. So that was fun to find out. And oh my gosh, there's so many characters in this that I have like such an attachment to. There's also characters in this that I really despise, although one of them I've been coming around to, which like did not think that was going to be possible. So yeah, overall, really loving it. Okay, and then I've got 2 books that I don't physically own a copy of. The first one is Victorian Psycho. I don't remember the author's name, but the book will be here. This book was on my anticipated releases for 2025 list. It's already come out at this point. I did get it from NetGalley, so I could have read it early, but I got it like a day early. So I think somebody's actually reading it for TBR Spin for this month, for March, so that's exciting. But I believe it's pretty short, and it's about this girl that's like a governess for kids, but it's also like a horror. And there's something about herself that she's kind of trying to keep down. That's my best memory of the synopsis of it. But it sounds good and it sounds creepy and I love the cover and I'm excited about it. Have I said I'm excited about every book on this list? Probably, because I am, because I chose them to read. And then the last book, which I'm gonna look up because I actually don't remember at all the synopsis to it. So the last book is You Are Fatally Invited. Ooh, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, Andy Pliego, but this is a thriller book. It's the Literary Dead Book Club pick for March, when renowned anonymous author J.R. Allister hires former aspiring writer Mila de Angel to host a writing retreat at his private manor off the coast of Maine. She jumps at the chance, particularly since she has an axe to grind with one of the invitees. The guest list, 6 thriller authors, all masters of deceit, misdirection, and mayhem. I remember like first hearing the synopsis and being like, that sounds really good, but like I kind of forgot how good it sounded. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what book you are excited to read, and if you've read any of these, what your thoughts were on them. Plus, if you are participating in TBR Spin but you weren't able to join us for the live stream, then let me know what book you're reading for that. And consider joining us for the next live stream, even if you're not participating in TBR Spin. There should be one on, I think it'll be March 9th will be my next one, and that one won't even have like a spin in it. It's just gonna be like fun reading sprint times that just takes place like halfway through the other streams I'm doing. So I hope that you're able to join, and otherwise, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!